Hey, we're live.
Here, you're there.
Welcome to Literally Wasted. This is discussion number 1 for Kill the Farm Boy by Delilah S. Dawson and Kevin Hearne.
Yeah. Recap, quick recap.
Go for it.
They have made it out of the caves of yore, or I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm probably
You got to respect the umlaut.
probably not respecting the umlaut. And oh gosh, we left on an enormous cliffhanger.
Oh yeah. Did you plan that?
No, I didn't. I was kind of mad
wow.
about it actually. I was like, no, it's a great place to stop, but this is terrible.
Yeah, terrible but good.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Argabella is not breathing.
She is unconscious.
She's not moving.
Let's do
She's not moving.
Let's do some shout outs. We got, hey Joe, hey Brandy, hey Lisa, hey Jenny Jones, our drawful friend from It's a Southern Thing. Hi Caitlin.
Dan Lafferty said, hello, poo boys and poo girls.
Well, that's rude.
Right?
Nice.
Hi Rachel, hi Liza, hi Scott, hi Julie, hi Matt, hi Brandy, hi Nicole, hi Caitlin, hi Jeff, hi Caitlin, hi Virginia, hi Jennifer, Dan, Adrian, Sarah, who's on YouTube, Jean, Tammy,
And Mike.
Swear, Mike. Hey everybody.
Adrian,
And
I only
Gigglevids.
cut my hair once.
Giggles vids. So,
We're Literally Wasted, the world's best online book club.
where do we start? Where do we start with this?
What you said?
Kill the Farm Boy. This is, I mean, I feel like we should get to the nitty gritty first. Like, how do you feel about this? Because we've got some back and forth in the comments section.
Okay.
Just a general how do you feel about this
I
book
do
so far?
think this was a divisive book. I think some people really didn't like it, and some people loved it, and then we got some people in the middle. So it's everybody. All the options.
What that makes me think of though is so many of the reviews and people who have, I mean, it's actually on the cover of the book, is the Monty Python-esque humor. And I think it goes really well hand in hand with that, because there are people who either love Monty Python and think it's hilarious, or they're like, this is really stupid, and they don't like that sense of humor. And that's exactly what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Like Sverre's wearing a chainmail bikini, he says on YouTube.
Nice.
And I think
Pictures.
Before it didn't happen.
Yeah,
Pics.
we're going to need some pictures of that.
Also, Matt Scalisi, did you make enough calzones for everyone?
Well, I'll start. I had a rocky start with this book. I started listening to the audiobook, and I did not like it at all. So the narrator he adds so much character and personality to these characters, and I just really wanted someone to read me the book, and I did not like his voices for Staff and Worsley. So I put that aside and picked up the regular book and started reading that. And I was really disappointed and worried about finishing this book, because for the first 3 chapters, every single character they introduce are morons. And I don't want to read a book about morons. But chapter 4, page 25, we get introduced to Fia. And shortly after that,
specific.
I know, I looked it up. Very shortly after that, we get introduced to Argabella, and finally some characters that aren't morons. And I got into it after that because I had some characters that I didn't hate immediately. Oh, and as we know, at the very beginning, Worsley dies, which was great for me. I mean, it's terrible, but I was really happy about that. And then I enjoyed it.
Yeah, can we talk about how, I know we're saying feelings, but I just want to jump in real quick because someone else mentioned it too. I love that this book is called Kill the Farm Boy, and the farm boy was killed immediately in the beginning of the book.
Yep.
Not the way that it was intended or that we thought, but yeah, this lead boy, gone. He is not in this book.
Yeah, such a good twist. Yeah.
I loved it. When that happened, I was like,
well,
he's dead.
Even in the first half of the book, we got the farm boy killed twice. So, I mean, it's a aptly named
Yeah, I wonder
book.
how many other times he'll get killed in this book.
I'd be surprised if there weren't at least one more.
They'll probably kill him.
Oh
again.
yeah, he got eaten by
Those
By the-
Lamatar.
Lamatar.
But it sounds like the Lamatar, like the front half of him is the llama.
The top half.
Is that it?
It's like the top half is a llama head, and the body is like a big muscular man.
So the big, furry, fluffy part is what murder is.
Take a bite out of its neck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but Sarah says, is he really dead?
Oh.
Well, he's mostly dead. Mostly dead,
Yeah.
I think.
Not quite dead.
Not quite dead yet.
So I really like this book. And I guess you can infer what you'd like about me or my sense of humor. But, it took a minute to get into. When they killed off Worsley, I was like, wow, this is okay. All right. And then, they introduced Fia and they introduced Poltro and Toby. And then the gang got together.
Toby.
And you had this sort of ragtag group of people. And then it was very endearing. And the humor, I see people in the comments saying that it's trying too hard, and
it does try very hard.
There are times where it tries pretty hard, but it has made me laugh out loud several times. And I don't know if you know me, but I don't laugh. So that's a good sign.
You don't laugh.
This is true. He usually just says, "That's funny."
Yeah. So I when I'm reading the book, I didn't look at it.
Really
and say,
great when you work in comedy.
That's funny. I laughed out loud, and it was good. I can't exactly remember we'll go through and talk about some nitpicky stuff, but I'm really liking it. It's light. It's not like deep. We're not here to talk about like philosophy and blah blah blah, but like it's really fun for me. I'm really enjoying it.
Oh yeah.
That's my summary there.
It's definitely not a deep book. Yeah. I have never read a book like this before. Like, I've read books that are funny and have humor in them, but it's usually still, like, set in realism. And so it's, like, more of a realistic funny, even in supernatural books. Or, do you know what I mean? Like, the humor is just, like, naturally occurring. So I've never read anything written like this. So it did take me a while to get into it. And when I first started reading it, I was worried that I was not going to like it. I was like, I just don't think I can get into this. And I'm the same way with Monty Python. It's really hit or miss for me.
See, I don't like Monty Python most of the time. So, and I'm digging this book. So,
but like, I really like The Holy Grail and I love Spam-A-Lot. But other than that, sometimes I'm like, this is kind of dumb. And I was worried when I was reading the book that I was going to be like, this is kind of dumb. And then I don't remember exactly which part it was. And that's saying something because, I love a pun. But it wasn't really, it wasn't until I started getting repeatedly, I don't want to say it this way. Let me reword.
Go on.
No, I'll just say it wasn't until I was repeatedly getting slapped in the face with all of the Morningwood puns that I was like, oh, this is kind of hilarious. And it just kept going. So yeah, it did take me a while. I wouldn't say like I'm full on in love with it yet, but I'm definitely going to finish it. I definitely got the rest of the trilogy.
I'm going to go full Talia on this one and read the rest of the trilogy after today.
I will say the one thing that has been really different for me is the pacing at which I'm reading. Most books I don't want, like I have to get to the end of the chapter before I can put the bookmark in it and set it aside and then be like, I'll pick this back up later. This one, I was setting it down like every couple of pages to be like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. So like it didn't captivate me endlessly, but like I was still able to get into it.
I was just Rebecca.
There's a lot of really fantastic.
Rebecca said I pictured Toby as Gargamel from this verse. I was like, that's me too.
Justin said the same thing.
Anyway.
Okay, sorry. That was my thing.
Yeah, I'm in for this book. I think for me, it's a good palate cleanser from just what we've been reading. I can't even think back beyond last month.
The Magicians, Do Angels Dream of Electric Sheep, Hard-Boiled Wonderland, and The End of the World.
Oof.
Yeah, especially after Hard-Boiled Wonderland.
Yeah.
I needed something stupid and goofy, and I look forward to the zingers. But look, I love South Park. I love Monty Python. I love stupid puns and dad jokes. I live for that. So I like it, and I am listening to the audiobook, and I will differ from Christy because I feel like I'm just being read like a storybook, and I feel like the authors were just kind of two friends that drank a few too many margaritas one night, and they're like, you know what? It would be stupid if we wrote this book. And I love that because I feel like they know what it is, and they own it, and they do it well. And like I said, it's a fun, goofy look at a trope that we're all so familiar with, right? Like we all know this story, we all know these characters in a way, and it's just a goofy way to look at it, and I'm liking that.
Although we did have a disagreement about Gustav, because Lucas said, and Chrissy, I guess you can attest to it, when Gustav is speaking in the audiobook, that he sounds rather goatly. And I think in the book, according to the book, he sounds no different from any other man. So I think that would have turned me off from the audiobook as well, because it's supposed to sound just like a man's voice.
Yeah, when I read it and I'm reading Gustav, I don't read him like he's talking like Goat Boy from SNL.
No, it's not Goat Boy. It's an inflection, but I think overall the guy does females and males very well from a character voice actor.
Does he talk like this when he's supposed to be a lady? Because I hate that. Oh, ew, no. Never mind.
Yeah.
This is what a girl sounds like.
Yeah, let's go to some of these comments. We got a lot of good stuff in here.
Everybody's talking about how they feel. I saw Scott say, like, I find this going fast because I don't care.
Stephanie Board says, for me, Toby is Toby from The Office 100%, and I can totally see that.
We got a lot of people like Cindy saying it's a nice change of pace. People saying, I don't feel like the need. Nikki says, I don't feel the need to finish the book quickly. There's where Scott says.
We've got quite a few people who aren't going to finish the book at all. And that's totally fine.
That's fine.
This is not for everybody. I don't even know quite yet if it's for me. But it is definitely different from anything else.
Uh-oh.
Tell me it froze up.
And that's good. That's honestly part of what Literarily Wasted is about, right? It's finding different stuff within the genre.
Yeah. Did I freeze?
Yeah, you're back. You froze up for just a couple of seconds.
So yeah, so there are people that don't get the humor and British accent for Gustav, and Jennifer says it took a lot of determination for me to get the halfway point. I'm not continuing. I get that. This was I read most of the book. Most of the first half of the book.
Like last
week, pretty quickly. I got through it pretty quick because I was really into it. I guess I just like reading simple, dumb things. And then I was like, well, I don't want to read the last chapter until closer to the live discussion so I can have it fresh in my mind. I didn't read the last chapter until a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, me too. But I'll say for me, this is a perfect beach book. If I could go to the beach, which I could, but I won't. It's a perfect look, I just need something to take down to the beach with a cold drink, hanging out, read a couple chapters, guffaw audibly.
Guffaw?
Yes, guffaw audibly.
Audibly guffaw.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's get into it a little bit, and we can start picking it apart because there's a lot of different types of jokes. A lot of people are saying there's a lot of poop jokes, which there are, mainly at the expense of Gustav, who's this main mechanism of reacting to most things is just
his rage pellets.
Fear
There's
pellet.
that one time when he talks about his rage pellets.
He talks about caution pellets, rage pellets, and fright pellets, and I was very impressed by the variety of pellets that he has, and I can't wait for more in the second half of the book.
But he's a goat, so I buy into that.
Yeah.
I believe that if I were a goat and the only way I could express myself was to express pellets.
Oh, I love it.
I thought it was funny.
Just walking up some stairs, pooping.
He's like, yeah, but he said it in case they needed to follow their trail back out.
Virginia says someone who just had to clean poop off the carpet. She's responding to Lisa.
I'm so sorry.
You live with a Gustav, it sounds like. And one of the things that's striking to me about this book, that it took me a minute, and you can talk a lot about this because you've actually done some writing down about this stuff. Either these authors are very eloquent and have an expansive vocabulary, or they're sitting next to a thesaurus while
They're
writing this
sitting
book.
next to a thesaurus.
But I find it charming, and at first I found it like, well, you're using a lot of words I don't know. But then it grew on me, and I really appreciate their way with words, both with the puns and like the expansive vocabulary that they have.
Yep. Well, I definitely started looking up all the words that I didn't know, and there's a lot of them. I think this is the book with the most words that I didn't already know in it, and it was kind of impressive and annoying.
That makes me. Well, no, I'm so happy that you said that, because I had that experience too. I was reading through it and I was like, I've never heard of some of these words.
Yep.
And I would be like, Siri, hey, what does this mean? When they were describing Toby's color, how he's not a dark lord.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the word they used is, but it's
I wrote-
basically
Vitruvian?
describes twilight.
Crepuscular.
Crepuscular.
Yes.
Of or resembling or relating to twilight. I wrote them all down because I can't help myself.
So, but like I had that moment too where I was like, I don't know so many of these words.
Yep.
But then I love that they're also mixed in with so many nonsense words as well. So they've made up a ton of words as well. So I ended up Googling so many things, and sometimes I was Googling a real word and sometimes I was Googling a nonsense word, and I didn't know the difference until after I Googled it.
Yep. Oh, I started to type in Lamatar before I realized what it was. And I got it before I pressed enter though, so don't worry.
Nice.
Like I Googled, Demesne?
Demesne?
Yeah, I have
Demesne?
no idea how to pronounce that.
Is that even a real word?
It is. It's when a lord or someone has property that they haven't like lent out to serfs and stuff, and it's just theirs for like using for like product and
Okay.
things. But
But I love that they thought it was domain and they just couldn't read the cursive.
Yeah, it was
And they thought they were all saying the wrong word because they were just reading the cursive like squiggle.
yeah,
Like, that's a real thing that has actually happened through history.
and like, I think getting into it, I think I really started to get into it with Toby and Poltro, because she's asking him, what is she going to get from this epic quest to go fetch this heart of the chosen one? And he's like, well, what do you want? She's like, I just want to rid the world of all chickens. And he's like, well, I could probably build you a lean-to in the back and you could keep the chickens away. And I was just like, oh, that's so stupid. And then when she gets on her horse, aptly named
Snowflake.
It's a black
named
horse,
Snowflake.
and she has to get off the horse, open the gate, get back on the horse. Like, it's total Monty Python
Yeah.
stuff. But I was like, oh, this is so dumb. And I think Joe said it, that it's like, yeah, it's these two friends that feel like they might be fifth graders, but they know what it's about, and they just took their D&D campaign. And I know several of you were wanting to talk about, how did they structure this? How did they write it? But it feels like they got kind of drunk. They were like, oh, this sounds dumb. We should write this down and make it into a story and add all these puns, and we'll put once a pun a time on the cover.
Gonna need a bigger
Also-
goat.
But
And I bet you all of the poo jokes are Delilah's.
Well,
I saw someone
yeah.
in the comment earlier mentioned that this was a man's book or this was a guy book, and I'm assuming a lot of people might think that maybe because of the poo jokes, but I guarantee you that Delilah was the one who wrote the poo
yes,
jokes.
so I don't want to get too much into this, but if you go listen to their podcast, Ask the Bards, she says in the first episode that her first book that got rejected started with a diarrhea scene gone bad, and she doesn't talk about the book, but that's how she started it.
Oh, that
and
would
she got
probably get
rejected
me.
right away. So yes, I agree with that.
That would probably get me. So Matt says, did anyone watch the show Gallivant? Which I think is a really
Yeah.
fun comparison
Yeah.
to this.
and I mean, I think that Gallivant has less stupid jokes, but it's still really funny. And especially when they were doing the song lyrics for the elves, like in Morningwood, that's when it really hit me over the head that this like reminds me of Gallivant.
So speaking of song lyrics, when they were doing like the move fast song, and it became like hit me with your best shot.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for.
Then I had to go back and see, like, are all of the books sort of riffs on, are all the songs riffs on other songs?
And what'd you
I
find?
didn't recognize
I don't
that.
think that they are.
I don't
but-
think they
I didn't
were either.
recognize the other one, and she also, well, the in the audiobook he does actually sing a tune to them. So that one is the one that does.
Well, she's a real tough
Hearken
witch
to-
with a long history
Yeah.
of turning people into beasts just like me.
What are you doing?
Yeah, no,
trying to
I
undo
instantly
typing.
started to sing it. Like as I was reading it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this has hit me with your best shot."
Yeah, and there's little things, and I kind of almost want to go back and read it again to see what I missed, because it's
I'm sure
people are
there's
comparing
stuff.
it to like Mel Brooks or like a Zucker Brothers film, where like you have to pay attention, and that was like, when the Naked Gun TV series Police Squad came on before they made the Naked Gun movies. One of the reasons they say it didn't work is because you had to pay attention, and people didn't like paying attention to their comedies because there's so many jokes that are jam packed into it.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know. For me, it might be worth going back and studying it again.
Well, I'm talking.
It does invoke Mel Brooks, definitely. So sorry, Chris.
No, you're good. Talking about what it kind of reminded people of. Lucas, you and Leanne both mentioned in the discussion topics post that this like reminded y'all of like a D&D campaign. And I kind of love the idea of maybe there was a D&D campaign like this that got written into a story. Because like, that sounds awesome.
We should
Well,
play it.
it's a good way to look at it. Like, okay, they came up with these. You have these archetype characters, right? You have a rogue, you have a fighter, you have a
Yeah.
wizard, you have a goat. What the oddball, but like you have a bard, and they probably came up with these characters, and they're like, let's make it totally. And when you think about these characters, they're not really good at what they do. I mean, you have this Dark Lord Toby who conjures bread.
Almost bread.
I mean, that's
Almost
my
bread.
God.
That's
Almost bread.
almost bread.
I love it. He's mad and it starts. He's like, I cast a spell, and then it just like half a dozen raisin loaves. Just
To me, that's just, I don't know. I appreciate. To me, it did. It felt kind of like a Robin Hood Men in Tights journey, and,
Yeah.
and I'm for that.
That's a good comparison to Robin Hood Men in Tights. I like it.
And,
Go ahead.
and talking about the almost bread, I loved the gimmicks they used for different characters. Like Toby was clearly he's an almost wizard with an almost beard, and he conjures up almost bread. And they use that every time he's the narrator, or when it's from his point of view. And then Argabella, they just put full on the end of a lot of things. And I just really, really appreciated that. I thought it was
Yeah,
great.
how they each have their own little narration style. Yeah.
Well, and getting the story from all those different perspectives was kind of lovely too.
Yeah, definitely.
And Carrie White says that's what my hubby's doing for our tabletop RPG. We're creating stories based on the thing. That's awesome. Keep
That's
that up.
super fun.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I do feel like it was intentional. I can't find it now. I just tried to look for it. But when I was looking for stuff on the authors earlier, I saw there were someone had made some buttons or pins, I think for Delilah Dawson's like website, or there was a link to it. And one of the buttons, there was one that said like goat big or goat home. And then another one did say something about the Tales of Pell, but it had like the multi-sided, it was like a 12 or 20-sided die.
20
the ones
sided
that
die.
are used for the
Yeah.
game. And it just had like the one on.
Well,
it,
and they make
everything else
make
was
some
fine.
references too, like when Fia first sees Argabella in the tower, they make an initiative reference, which is you roll your initiative at the beginning of a D&D to see who goes first, and
See,
she's like,
I'm
no,
not
we have to
doing it, so I
talk.
totally missed that
It's
reference.
Yeah, I
all
caught
about
that.
initiative and stuff like that. So there's a few little like
Okay.
nods in there that I think they
So I'm probably missing a ton of stuff from other things that I just like.
yeah.
Darn.
Yeah.
Adrian on Facebook says, I do adore cheese, so I can completely understand going on a quest for it. Every time I go to the grocery store right now, which is like once every 2 weeks, it is legit a quest for cheese.
We have that spreadable brie.
I already ate.
One of
You
the
already ate it?
Not all of it. Not all of it.
One of the things that I mean, we're talking about how much like humor there is in this book, and there is, whether you get it or not, or like whether you appreciate it or not. There's a lot of humor, but I think as I read, I'm surprised by how sort of endeared I am to some of these characters. Like they all have their their quirks, but I think when they put you in each of the characters' heads, it helps you to identify with them just a little bit more.
Yeah, I
and that
can
makes
see
me
that.
appreciate this merry band of people. And so I really like that we're sort of switching perspectives. And then, you know, there are times where like you do find yourself like actually like there's a bit of a heartfelt moment sort of snuck in there. Like a lot of times with Argabella, whose situation is pretty tragic.
Yeah.
Or even with Toby sometimes. Like there's this, you know, he's introduced as this Dark Lord wannabe. And then you kind of like, you know, he seems to actually be coming from it from like an innocent place. He's like,
He's so scared and alone. All of these people are very lonely.
Yeah, it's a tragic band of misfits. I mean, it's kind of a perfect story of, but you're kind of seeing as we progress, like Argabella's, when you first see her, she can't even rhyme a tune in her tower, and then
Now
slowly,
She's
like
singing magical songs.
right, like she sped them through the forest, and
she saved
and
them twice. She's the
Yeah,
one that was
so
responsible for the stick man.
She's getting braver. She's paired up with like this super hot, super tall, crazy warrior woman,
Yeah,
which is like a super fun pairing.
And the
yeah,
pairing
and
is.
I know.
Sorry.
I think there were some other people in the comments that wanted to talk about that relationship, and I think it's very, very wonderful, but it's just you put this Amazon woman with this poor cursed bunny lady, but I don't know, they hit it off and they wrote it so well.
Yeah, here's the thing about that relationship, that I like, is that one, it's not like they don't beat you over the head with it.
Yeah,
It just kind of happens organically. And two, like it doesn't ever really seem to come from like an infatuation or a lustful place. It's super sweet.
Yeah.
When like anytime like Fia is talking to Argabella, it's always like, I like you just the way you are. And like, I don't think anything about you needs to change. And it's super sweet.
Yeah.
And so
I
like,
love when in the beginning, Gustav was the first one that knew. I love that the goat knew. He was like, they're a real cute couple and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
That's the part, goat.
yeah, but like in that relationship, you know, they did go off and, you know, do some stuff when Gustav was getting ganged up on in the cursed fork in the road. But the Fia
But it
Argabella
wasn't gratuitous.
No, they just
it
went
wasn't
away and
written
came
in
back.
like a gross way. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is some gratuitous, like, not gratuitous, but like the gore, the violence kind of.
The last chapter, yeah, there was a ton of violence that they introduced. Like they talked about taking off the acid leeches, and you could see like muscle underneath, and it was really gross.
Anything that happens to Worsley is kind of gruesome.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
But like
Also,
the relationship aspect between Fia and Argabella is, to me, like, you know, in this book full of kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Immature humor. Developing a relationship like that is really sweet.
it's very lovely. Where everything else is like, here's a bunch of not so subtle penis jokes.
like
And
Toby's tower with his well.
he's like, yes, look at all my nice shrubbery.
Yeah.
I've been tending my tower. I did just what she said.
Adam likes it.
I like dumb things.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh my god, there have been a few moments where I had to go back and reread because I missed some puns because I read through it too fast, and then I was like, oh god, they're really cramming them in there, aren't they?
And
and like the pun, not like a battle, but you know, they're trying to like up each other. And
I was just about to mention that, like the fact that the characters themselves have this like pun off where they like try to keep it going for as long as they can.
Yeah, I love those.
And they do that a few times, and even during times where they seem to kind of be like, you know, I'm losing my words today, but like, you know,
There's conflict
distrusting
between them.
each other and all that stuff, they still manage to have these like little pun battles.
Stephanie Bird and Dan Lafferty are bringing up Besley and Worsley, and I would like to admit it took me a lot longer than it should have because I kind of breezed through the stuff about
tell them
Besley
about
because
the
I
thing
was
that took us too long.
But yeah, it took me It took me too long to realize that the brothers' names were Bestly and Worstly.
Yeah. I think my favorite moment of this book, I wasn't even reading it. So Adam had gotten way ahead of me, and I read it, and I was telling him where I was. I was like, and they just teamed up with the sandwich. And then we both immediately heard it. And neither of us had heard it before. And then later, I was with his brother who's also reading it. I was like, did you get the sandwich joke? And he's like, oh, I just did.
Well, then she's like, she's got her face on the ground when Argabella's on it. She's like, do you like that sandwich? Does it taste good?
Yeah. Well, and then Gustav is gonna poke her in the buns at one point. Like,
Yeah.
it just got me how clever that was, but how it like snuck up on me. I just really appreciated it.
Matt says, I'm honestly surprised it took them so long to make sandwich jokes.
What it took.
Susan just got it.
I wonder how many jokes there are that you missed between the audio, like from the audiobook,
Yeah.
or things that are thrown too quickly in your face. Because, like, the giant, you know, all those jokes about the giant and his giant snoz, but his name was Factory. But, you know, and he talked about how since he's an old giant, he's like,
Oh my God, I just got it.
Old
Factory.
Factory.
The old factory. Oh my God.
Your old factory.
Did you just get that out of
I just got it.
So, like, I wonder if the people who are listening to the audiobook miss out on the unrolling of these jokes because you just immediately hear it. Whereas, like with the umlaut, you know, the your and the, I'm not even going to try to say it the other way.
Well, in the
your and the your. Like,
well, and that's the funny part of the,
You know?
in the audiobook, all the characters are going through the umlaut. And he's like, no, how dare you disrespect somebody by not saying their name properly? And so it's like, that's...
yeah, like there are so many things that
Jenny
Jenny Jones
Jenny's
just
got
said,
it
Jenny just said the old factory.
Oh, that's great. But things you don't get when you listen to the audiobook, when you read the actual book, when they're doing the your, and they're trying to pronounce your, they write it the way, like when he says, like, he's like, you have to say it like your, and it'll be Y-O with the umlaut R. And then when they say it, it's just Y-O-R-E.
I know.
Well, okay, what's the difference?
There isn't.
Okay.
You're
No,
not respecting-
that helps.
There isn't, yeah.
There really isn't, unless you're like, that's just how things are kind of spelled in a different language. Americans, we don't really utilize the umlaut. But here, like Sarah Sanders just said, I didn't get the Morningwood joke until Talia said it out loud. Like as soon as I heard it out loud. And there's, but I like that.
Well, and Jeff said to...
Careful with my book.
I am. See, I don't. When you read the audiobook, you don't have the map, and so he said, look at all of the different names on the map, and I was just getting tickled at some of the names.
Yeah, Ian.
That's all.
Ian says, and then Toby made the pun, the sandwich is certainly no hero, followed by Fia saying, but neither is she a subhuman. That's one of those times where they started to get into like the pun battles.
All the sandwich jokes.
Oh, so dumb.
But so good. Look at us all
Dan
having a
makes a
good
good-
laugh.
Dan
Except
Lafferty
me, I
makes a
don't
good
laugh.
point. If you missed the Morningwood joke, reread the entire chapter because the entire chapter is totally different once you get the Morningwood joke.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, like every single sentence, you're like, oh. Oh.
So which character, Christy? Which character do you like the best? Like, do you have one character, or is it kind of the mishmash of?
Oh, I don't know. I like Fia and Argabella. I like certain characteristics of them. Like I like Toby's almost everything, and
I like Gustav.
I like Gustav when he poops. I like Toby because, yeah, he's they play him up like this big dark lord, and then you get there and he's just this guy that's trying to be a wizard, and he's obsessed with his familiar, and if he could just get this, and if he could just get this.
You stupid hedgehog and turtle.
Yeah.
Make me a familiar.
yeah.
Yeah. What are y'all's favorite in the comments or in the people watching? Who are y'all's favorite characters? I say for me, like I like most of the characters for different reasons, like Christy. I would say my least favorite character is probably Poltro,
Yeah.
because I think she has the least amount of depth. You know, her shtick is just like, I hate chickens, and
She trips on pebbles.
Oh, God.
she's
Sarah
She's so
likes
hot.
Grinda, the sandwich.
oh
and her
gosh,
crab.
the thing about Grinda, I love Grinda when it sort of became clearer and clearer that she's like using magic to be younger.
Yeah.
And then when it starts to wear off, she just turns into an old lady. She's like really glad that she didn't have to like think about talking about the weather and stuff like that.
I love when she's like dying in the acid pit, and then someone comes to get her, and she's like, "Oh, hello, Worsley." Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, it's like completely worn off, and she's just like, "Get away from me, you whippersnappers!"
Well, and also she has like an urge to go look at obituaries and find out what the weather is. Like,
That's
Yeah,
what
if
she was
she
saying.
died.
Like she was relieved that she didn't have those urges
Yeah.
anymore. That she could put those to like read obituaries.
I just say stuff like that, like those things that are just so funny.
Yeah, got me. This book gets me. Gets me right in the tickle spot. And I'm like, hey. Did you like
Can
that
we
visual?
talk about how the goat is the chosen one?
That was my favorite thing ever. That's so smart. Like, of course, there were two people there. Why did we assume Worsley was the chosen one? Just because he was the human?
Yeah,
And
and
the-
he got flattened. Fia fell on him, and she talks about, she's like, oh, she fell, and she's like, ow, I fell out of the tower. And there's a boy with all his bones,
Sticking
because
out.
she straight up crushed this poor kid.
See, I was probably oblivious because I was like, oh, they put him in the tower and he's gonna be okay, and they're gonna like get some magic and
Yeah,
go
I
back.
thought
And
so,
it
too.
took me for a while, probably way too long, and I hate to admit this, that I was like, oh, he's not the main character in this story.
Yeah, I
Because I
love.
was waiting for him to come back, you know.
I was also waiting for that. Like, okay, no, they're not.
They're gonna get to Grinda, and she's gonna revive him.
And then the
But
more I realized he was just dead, I was like, yes.
You killed Pooh Boy.
I love that. I think that's so smart.
He's only mostly dead.
What are people saying their favorite characters are? We got.
Everyone's saying your dog. Everyone
Hey,
loves
bud dog.
That's what it is.
Agro-
Dan says, you killed Pooh Boy.
Argabella. Kathy says I relate to Gustav the most. Virginia says I think they work as a group. Yeah, I like the group.
The group's good.
Jenny says Argabella is my favorite. Toby says Joe. They all have sort of endearing characters, except for Poltro. She's my least favorite.
Yeah, mine too.
Nicole says Gustav and Argabella are my favorites, but I do like Fia too. Argabella is one of the most sympathetic.
Well, she's also
characters to
the
me.
most well-rounded too, or most rounded out that we've seen in the story.
Yeah.
So Gene Bowker on YouTube says, I still think he's going to kiss the lady, talking about Worsley. And yeah, I think so too. But I guess we'll see.
Is it gonna be like I thought that too, Chrissy, but I was like, is it gonna be some like accidental, like they roll over or something and like they just, I don't know. That's how I see this book unfolding, where it's some stupid accident that it happens.
Probably is. Or maybe he's about to, and then Gustav ends up doing it just because he's the chosen one. I don't know. I think there's going to be more twists, and I can't wait for them.
Yeah.
As long as Gustav poops at that moment.
I'm
Very
sure
interested
he will. Romance
to see
poops.
this.
Romance poop.
Gustav started. At first I didn't really like Gustav because he seemed like he was very one-track minded about eating shoes and pooping, and like that's all it was like, you got another shoe, you got a shoe for me. But the more I read it, the more I like him, especially when we get into his head, because he seems like the smartest one.
He's
of
also
all
the
of
most
them.
observant.
Yeah.
Like of
Yeah.
all the characters, the goat is like sort of the voice of reason. Julie says love pellets.
Yeah, yes, Julie, you're right.
There's a pellet for everything.
I will say, I think because of how this is written, and we've read some weird stuff. I'm speaking specifically about Hard Boiled Wonderland.
Yeah.
But there are still some things that are predictable in every book that we read. And I have had a very, very difficult time predicting anything in this book. So I have to give it props for that, for sure.
I think that might also be
Yeah.
the point of the book, is to just make it
to defy your
Yeah,
expectations.
take a stereotypical fairy tale and then just totally destroy it.
Yeah, and they are operating in a world that it seems like they can just sort of make up whatever they want, and I'll go for you're reading there. They go to this goblin market, and weird stuff happens, and then next thing you know, they're like, well, we got this fork in the road, and it's this cursed fork, so we're going to make them fight. And now they need to go to the excuse me.
Sorry, our
Bailey.
other dog is talking.
And then they have to go to the catacombs of yore, where it manifests your worst nightmare, and it's just these people are just having fun. It sounds like when they're writing this book. I want to make this movie. Can I make this?
I love
movie?
the moths. I love Toby being scared of the moths coming for his eyeballs.
Yeah.
Can I be Argabella?
Sure.
Granted, I don't know if she's still alive, but if you're casting the movie, I want to be the bunny girl.
Okay.
I could see that.
I'll play Worsley.
Because we know I can't be Fia.
Something else I really liked about the beginning of the book, when we first get introduced to Toby, he hears about the Chosen One and he wants to kill him, one, to get his heart, to get his power, but the real reason he wants to kill him is because he doesn't want anything to change, like the current political climate and stuff. And it's just such an interesting perspective.
He's like, Chosen Ones always really muck things up and change everything.
Overthrow, rulers and change everything. And he's like,
Yeah, boo.
well, and also Grenda's political and social things were really interesting. The fact that she employs hundreds of people who need help and just tries to always be there for people. And she doesn't even talk about it. She's like, they don't need to know this.
Yeah, she was came from a bad place, and now she's trying to give back to people. And but the way they fit that in, and she's explaining stuff to Gustav, and she's like, well, I didn't tell him about this actually very nice thing. It's I just left that
I know.
out.
See, that was really weird for me because honestly, I didn't find her likable and I didn't like her character, and I saw her as a more villain type role. And then when she revealed those things about politically how she felt and what she strives to do, I was like, oh,
Yeah. Well,
wait, she's a good person.
and even later, she's like, and I just want to be back with my people and her servant who
Be free.
takes care of her and all her subjects who are devoted to her because she just takes care of them. I don't know.
In her lust garden
Yes.
with her crabs.
Yes.
Her lust garden that has crabs.
Don't catch crabs.
Watch out for the crabs.
Yep.
That one was a little more.
I would like that. Good.
Oh, man.
Funny bone.
Did any part lose you? The only part that I kind of checked out on was the goblin market, and I know a couple. I think Jeff.
With Merlin and Glandalf?
Yeah, that just I don't know. That just kind of lost me. I think it was a little bit confusing of what was actually going on until the very end, and I was like, okay, let's just get to the next part. Did anybody else struggle with that or another part?
It's just the Fellowship of the Strings. I remember.
Fellowship of the Strings was good.
I will say, this is one book where I had to be very particular about reading all the chapter titles. I am very guilty of skipping the chapter titles in books and not ever reading them. And this one, you can't do that because it really does tell you what it's about. Chapter 3, in the Tower of Toby, the Dark Lord, he who dreams of artisanal crackers. The titles are super important in this book, where I was guilty of just skipping over them and having to go back and being like, oh, it tells you, at the scene of a richly deserved punch in the kisser, it tells you right then what that whole chapter is going to be about.
Well, I'm trying to find this string.
Scott said the giant chapter lost him. I agree a little bit there, Scott. It was a little confusing until the very end when it is kind of funny that olfactory spit out or
Sneezed
Although
on
it's
them.
not-
Yeah.
Which is the part that Matt Scalise did not like, and I think that's where it lost him. He didn't like the snotty stuff.
Yeah, I don't
Which
know if it
who does?
lost me. I think the giant chapter But it did have one of my favorite, which I found, string of names. Nostradamus.
Nostradamus.
I am known by many names, some of them intended to be less than kind. Nostradamus is my favorite of the local assorted cretins, as is Nebuchadnezzar, Noseph of Nozareth, Nosy McHonker, Booger McSchnoz, Beaky McSnotlocker, and Lord of the Sneeze.
But then the problem is he's so proud of his name. His name is Fat.
Oh, you're gone again.
She froze up.
Doesn't get that that's a joke either, and he thinks he's like, they call me that because I'm so ancient and they love my name.
But my given name
Jeff
is Factory.
says, yeah. Jeff Moore said in the market, Poltro saw the prodigious amount of chicken guillotines, and he found that hilarious. I did think that was really neat how in the Goblin Market, they all saw what they wanted to see. They all were being marketed to individually, which
It's like Facebook.
I have
magical.
a question about that. Like Gustav saw at one point, like one of the stores flickered from like a bunch of screaming children to like something else.
Yeah, there's some dark crap going on in the
Yeah.
Goblin Market.
And I think that kind of threw me because later it became really clear that it was marketing to everybody based on what you really, really want.
But Gustav, as the chosen one, can probably see. He's probably seeing through all
he
of
does
it.
have an extra enchantment that the
he's
others
probably,
don't.
He probably saw like the torturous hell that's actually what the Goblin Market actually is. Which I'm glad you reminded me of that because I thought that was interesting, especially from Gustav's perspective, being the chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
So Leanne mentioned, and this is something I wanted to talk about, she said so much food.
Yes.
We'll have no problem with this cooking the book.
We can make almost bread.
Is that true though? Because there is so much food
There's
in this book.
almost so much food.
But the way it is described is the strangest thing to me. They talk about this enormous, crazy, delicious spread, and then they start to describe all of the dishes, and they are the strangest, like intentionally odd, weird, delectable tasties, and it is.
That cracked me up,
Somebody
though. I thought those
in the
were
comments
hilarious.
mentioned this earlier, how like the adjectives used to describe the food are things like distressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are some the names and structure of these dishes. I do not want goat curry, Kathy.
No.
But I do love curry. I do love curry, but I don't
Yes,
want
not
to eat a
goat
goat
curry.
now.
Okay, Bailey, I hear you.
But yeah, it's that whole meal. And chickens. Poor Poltro. I love that Poltro is
The
scared of chickens.
tacos.
Are you trying to
yes,
find all the
Saracen, the
food?
tacos.
I am. It's
Oh,
right
the
here.
tacos. Oh, yeah.
He's like, I invented these.
I
And he's
invented
like, you did not
taco.
invent these. Tacos. Idiot. Oh, that was good. See, I remember so much stuff after we have these discussions that I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that now. So thank you. That was good.
Justin says, what about Argabella's dad being a tie-dye wearing hippie who listens to some weird version of Fish? The way they spelled Fish got me.
Fish.
Oh, yeah.
And also, like, is turning his daughter. He's like, she just wanted to be an accountant. And he's like, no, because his wife left him for an accountant.
Yeah.
He's like, no, don't do that. Go be a musician
Yeah,
instead.
go be a
That's where
floozy.
it's at.
Yeah, be like a bar wench or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, bar wench. That's what he said.
Kathleen Dunn says the booger humor made her feel like she was surrounded by 7-year-old boys. I gotta admit, the booger humor is what almost lost me at the beginning because Staff always had a booger on the end of her finger, and that just annoyed the crap out of me.
It's like the animal that sells you turnips in Animal Crossing. Always got this like thing dripping out of her nose. But yeah, I don't like booger things most of the time. But I didn't mind the factory thing, mostly because it was like a nose thing, and also because like that was a byproduct of Argabella sort of finding her voice, which I liked.
Yeah,
Okay,
I like that.
Here are some things. There's blistered folk seaweed, sublimated plum bun, ox marrow bombs glazed with snail paste and exploded salt, sun goldfish dumplings steamed in butter smoke, invigorated ham jam.
Invigorated.
Like,
That sounds good.
Guys, we're gonna make all of this.
Yeah.
like naive kimchi medley.
Naive kimchi.
A naive with kimchi medley. Frightened bow tie pasta, because I don't know how to pronounce the F word. Swimming.
Farfalla.
Yeah.
The bow tie pasta.
Yeah.
Swimming.
Oh, they're gone again.
And surprised truffle drippings. Like,
Yeah, I love that.
Well, we have
what
to make
is
all of
food?
those. Next time we're all together, not in quarantine, we will have a feast. Toby's feast.
So Julie Wheeler, who is a doctor, is giving some insight. Her name is Staph, and MRSA lives in the nose, which I guess is staph.
Oh, so it's a staph infection?
Yeah. So
Nice.
There's nose things going there.
Well,
Yeah, I'm glad we have doctors,
see,
lawyers in
yeah,
this group.
that makes me appreciate it a tiny bit more.
Yeah, we could cook this book.
See, it's like really,
Make some surprise
really,
truffle.
it's like super dumb humor done very smartly.
Oh yeah, they're really good writers. I love their alliteration. They have so much good, smart alliteration and some just really cool things that they've done.
Yeah.
And part of me thinks that they know those big words.
Maybe.
Joe says, we've all had a naive kimchi medley moment, am I right?
Nice. Hey,
Yeah.
so what is everybody's favorite joke or pun?
Oh. I wish I could remember. I wish I had written down like when it made me like
Yeah.
chuckle.
I think for me, the first time I got really tickled was when they were describing Toby's tower, and how he what was it
She was like, go tend to your tower. And he's like, I did. Look how nice and big I made it.
Yeah.
Look how shrubbery around it.
I think that was the first one that really tickled me, but there's almost too many, and I think Talia wanted to bring that up.
Morningwood
Morningwood is solid.
made me laugh real hard just because it kept going. It wasn't just one pun. Yes.
Yeah.
Dan Lafferty.
That one got me, Dan. You're right.
Yeah, that one got
Yeah.
me too. Swift and satisfying discharge.
Wing. And that's what made it
Yeah,
so
I know.
It just kept going.
Yeah.
But honestly, like as simple as it is, the joke that's made me laugh the hard is the domain and the desmany with talking about how they can't read cursive and they don't know what some of these words are straight up because of the curlicues. That just makes me laugh really hard because
Kelly, you had
that is
one
like a
right?
what?
Didn't you have before we started? You
You were going to tell us
you were
what
gonna
your
tell us
favorite
what
joke was.
I just did.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. That's a good one.
That's what it is. I like. It's not like they're most clever. It's not fancy. I just love that it's like a real life funny thing that has legit happened in history, and that's how we've actually changed some words through time. Is because people can't read people's cursive handwriting. I just find it really funny. Also, I was reading the comments about someone was asking what kimchi was.
It's
Christy, what
delicious.
about you? What's your favorite?
Mine is still the sandwich, just because when I got it, it was so like it was such an aha moment.
Most recently, because I read it recently, I would say like the jokes about Glinda being an old woman. Grinda being an old woman, like all the stuff about the like checking obituaries and stuff. I don't know why that got me. Just thinking of grandmas.
What's yours?
I already said the Toby's
that's
tower
right.
was that's the first one that just like got me, and I was like, oh, okay, I see where this is going.
Jennifer
I love
says
it.
Morningwood is stiff competition. Justin says, yeah, Morningwood was solid.
Yeah.
Sarah Sanders pointed out one of my favorite ones about Morningwood. Yeah, when Toby's getting ready or something, and he like adjusts his sleeves or like gets ready, and it's because he's gonna cast a spell, but he like pulls up his sleeves or something, and they said taming the challenges of stately Morningwood would no doubt require 2 ready hands.
Yeah. Oh, God, I'm gonna read this book again, and we're not even done with it.
Yeah. You're gonna keep and there's 2 more books after it, Adam.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I'm gonna go full tally on this one then, because yeah, this book gets me,
Yeah.
and I'm having a good time. Well, let's do final thoughts on the before
Well, really quick, Talia, you told me to remind you about number count.
Oh, I need someone to Google. I'm sure it's out there. I could have done it, but I didn't. I I hope that someone out there on the internet took the time to go through this book and count the number of puns. I want a total head count of how many puns are actually in this book.
You are asking,
Just get a word
that's a
count.
big commitment.
I'm not
That's a word
asking
count.
someone to actually count, but if you Google it and you find that someone else has done the work, please post it in the group. Whew. Can't wait.
That's awesome.
Let's do final thoughts on the first half of the book before we get into some announcements.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we've got a couple of them.
Yeah, and you're,
Oh, here, Leanne says, wait, this is a series. Okay, so it is a trilogy. I will say I didn't delve into it too much. I went ahead and
did you have them?
Yes.
Tales of Pell.
It's called The Tales of Pell, but I don't know if it's just 3 books all set in the same universe or if it's actually a continuation of this story. So I will say I don't, because they're all 3 very different titles. So I don't know for sure that it's,
Julie
like I
says
said,
it's a
like
trilogy.
one long story,
Yeah.
if it's 3 separate stories altogether.
They all
But it
have
is a
the
trilogy.
original cover arts are all fantastic. I will say this is some of
the
the best
cover
cover art
Yeah.
we've had.
On the hardcovers,
I will judge this book by its cover all day long.
the paperback is very simplified. But yeah.
So
What do you think? What do you think? Your halfway point.
Oh, I mean, I'll probably as soon as this live stream is over, I'll probably
Read this whole trilogy.
keep reading.
Good. Yeah, I am 100% all about this good, nice, fun, goofy, stupid break. Before we get into something maybe a little bit more serious. I don't know.
A little darker.
A little darker. Christy, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I'm interested to see where it goes. And I hope that there's more twists. I feel like there will be, and a lot more puns.
for me, this is becoming maybe one of my favorite books we've done in the
Oh,
book club
wow.
so far. Just
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Just because it gets me and it makes me laugh, and I like that. Because I don't laugh.
Yeah. Haha. Nicole says that she's going to reread Morningwood after this so she can laugh harder.
I feel like we
Jeff?
all need to reread Morningwood after this.
I think, yeah.
I think yes. Knowing what we now know. Jeff says, I think this is one of those moments that the discussion has made me appreciate the book more than when I was reading it.
Yeah.
Those are my favorites. I
Yeah.
love it when we have those
That's
moments.
why we have discussions.
We've had quite a few books where the discussion has helped me a lot because
Oh,
Yeah.
Brandy says she's okay with most of it, but she's still planning on finishing it, but maybe not going through the trilogy. That's fine. And like I said, I don't even know if it's like a continuation. I don't know what it is. I will say that the ratings of the trilogy, I did look it up. I looked it up on both Amazon and Goodreads, and the ratings of the book are really on par with The Magicians as far as
Getting better.
having being more of a mixed bag for that first book, and then the ratings increasing so that the third book has the highest rating and seems to be the most popular. So if that helps anybody at all, well, I don't know.
So let's.
Sorry, Jeff.
Shall we make some announcements?
We shall.
Well, our poll is over, right?
yeah,
So what's
it is.
We've got we've got the next month's book.
June, we are reading A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab.
Y'all didn't like my birthday choice. So I'm gonna remember that. But I'm looking forward to V.E. Schwab.
It's a
Well,
good.
you
it's a
like
good book.
Vicious
I
a
like
lot,
I
right,
like
Adam?
Vicious a lot. So and I hear good things about Darker Shade of Magic. So I'm not that mad.
But he is. He's mad.
So if you decide to read Old Man's War, then maybe just talk to Adam about it in the group.
Oh, we'll get a third chance on Old Man's War till we get it
Oh my gosh. You have to wait until your birthday
next year.
We will read it when you are
Thank
an
you,
old man.
Jeff.
How
Thank you,
about
Stephanie.
So what else?
Oh
what
my
else
gosh.
do we have?
that? Who wants to say it?
Oh,
Oh,
You can
someone
say
say
you
it.
can say it. You say it.
So, another super cool surprise. We'll discuss the whole rest of this book 2 weeks from today on May 27th.
Yep, 27.
And then 2 days after that, on the last Friday of the month, we're going to have a bonus special live discussion with Delilah S. Dawson and Kevin Hearne.
We got him.
Hooray!
Got him.
They both of them agreed to do another live Q&A with us, just like Lev Grossman did, where you're going to get to send in your questions and have
your questions answered.
Look at that.
there they are.
Yeah, so we got the authors 2 months in a row. Look at us. We're on a roll.
2 for 2.
I know.
So maybe we've already got a email drafted up to V.E. Schwab. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if we can make it 3 for 3. But
Cross your fingers.
so come back for the next live discussion if you finish the book, or if you don't, and then come back and ask them your questions. Ask them what's with the poo jokes.
We can talk about all the dirty jokes and puns.
Yeah, and I feel like that one's going to be a fun one because they seem like really fun, funny people.
Yeah.
And
they are very funny from listening to their podcast. A few episodes I've listened to, and they have a great rapport. And I think we're going to have a blast with them that night.
Oh man.
yeah, so that we're super excited, and it's another reason that I'm really into. I'm really glad that I like this book.
Yeah.
Work out all of your face muscles so that you don't get a cramp from smiling and laughing.
Yep.
That's what you're supposed
So
to
again,
do.
that's Friday, May 29th. You saw it there, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. We'll start to promote that here. You'll start to get emails and
Yeah, that
Facebook.
graphic that Adam just showed y'all,
It's
I'll
up there
post
now.
that on social media tomorrow morning.
And we'll make
So
an
that
event.
y'all can... What?
We'll make an event too.
Yeah, we'll make an event. We'll post it all over social media tomorrow. So share it with all your friends. Let's have another super, super fun live Q&A with authors.
2 more New York Times best-selling authors. How cool is that? Yay!
Yeah. So fun stuff all around. And also, after this live discussion, Facebook has released a new feature called Messenger Rooms. They might be a bit limited in terms of attendance, but they're basically like little Zoom chats, and you can do it in a Facebook group. So I'm gonna create one of those and just see who wants to hang out for a little bit.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do
maybe
it.
Put some faces to names. Whoops.
Do a little test.
So right after this live discussion, I'm gonna go in there and create a room, and
We'll just see what happens.
see what happens.
Let's see what
I've never really
happens.
done this before.
It's fine.
Yeah, they just released this today, right?
Yeah, that's the first time I saw it.
Yeah, hours ago. So
So stay tuned for some after discussion chats and come hang out. But anyway, so lots of fun stuff. Come back for our second live discussion in a couple of weeks, and yeah, thanks for joining us. Really fun discussion. Anything else?
Yay!
Yay.
Let's do it again in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think
Y'all
that's
tell your
it.
friends.
All right.
Make friends.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.